So what those needs are listed out on a tool that we use a lot as a human givens therapist, and that's called an emotional needs audit. And this is a little tool that we can all use at any time, but particularly in a time of challenge like this, to just check through our emotional needs and make sure that we are finding ways to get those needs met, which may well be quite radically different from how we would ordinarily get them met, particularly in a situation like this. So I will just share that emotional needs audit with you now so that I can show you what I'm talking about. So here we have the 9 emotional needs listed out. So the first one is, do we feel secure? Do we have a sense of security? So obviously this is hugely compromised at the moment, when we just don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen to our finances, to our work, to our health. So our sense of security is obviously really affected. The idea with the emotional needs audit is that we rate those needs from 1 to 7, which gives us an idea of where we're at. The second one is, how do we receive attention at the moment? Again, this is obviously going to be affected when we're not going out to work, potentially. We're not mixing with our friends that might give us quality attention. Are we giving other people enough attention? Do we feel in control of our lives? Having a sense of control, which again, obviously is hugely affected at the moment. We don't know when the lockdown's going to end. We don't know when we're going to be able to resume our normal activities. We don't know if we're going to get ill or if people around us are going to get ill. Do we feel connected to other people, connected to the wider community? Or how can we do that if we don't? Can we obtain privacy? Again, this may well be affected at the moment. We're kind of locked in with our family that normally we can escape from when we go out to do the things that we're going to do. Do we feel emotionally connected to other people? And what we particularly emphasize in the human givens approach is that we need one person in our lives that can accept us warts and all. Do we have a close person in our lives that we feel we can be completely ourselves with? Do we have status? Do we have a sense of status? So this is about being respected, feeling that we matter. This is obviously one that can be affected at the moment, as a lot of us are unable to work, and status is obviously quite linked with work. You know, when we have a job that we feel useful in, that gives us a sense of status. Are we achieving things? Do we have a sense of achievement? Again, that may be affected by work, but also other things that we do in our lives, our hobbies. If we stretch ourselves with our sporting hobbies, for instance, that may well be affected. And do we feel stretched? Do we feel that we're setting goals and achieving them? So the idea is that we go through this needs audit, and if we're scoring lower than 7 on a few of them, it may well be that our mental health starts to be affected. So the challenge is, at this time, the challenge is to find other activities, other ways of getting those needs met, so that we are not mentally suffering. And the way to do this, in my experience, is to think really small. So in times of stress, often what can happen is we feel overwhelmed and we feel unable to think clearly. An emotional hijack we talk about in human givens language, where our brain is literally hijacked by emotion and we're unable to think clearly because the thinking part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex, is actually shut off at these times. And a really easy way to get yourself back into your calm thinking logical brain is just to take some long slow out breaths. And the technique that we teach in human givens is breathing in for the count of 7, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then out for the count of 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and for 7 and out for 11. And just taking a few breaths like that can really start to calm down your central nervous system, which then can get your thinking brain back online. And then you can think about some just really tiny little goals that you can set for yourself in line with these emotional needs, which will just start to help you feel more grounded, will start to help you feel more like yourself. So I'll give you an example. For me, one of the things I really enjoy is running. And I don't have a load of time because I've got children at home, but I've just set myself a goal to do 10 minutes more running a week, which I know I can achieve. And actually, in all likelihood, I'm going to achieve more than that. And that's then going to make me feel great. Whereas if you're not calm and thinking in those small achievable goals, I could start to think, right, I've got to run every day. I've got to, up my fitness. So put a load of pressure on myself, which is then going to make me feel worse when I don't achieve it. So it may well be when you take some nice, long, slow breaths for a while, you can start to think of one or two really small little steps in line with these needs that you would like to achieve over this time that we have. And we've got perhaps a little more time to focus on those kind of things when we're not rushing off to do lots of other things. Maybe it's taking up an old hobby in a really small way. If you used to enjoy baking, maybe bake one cake a week. If you enjoy cycling, maybe watch one video a week on cycling technique. Something that's almost laughably small is usually where you want to pitch it, something super, super easy, so you get that sense of achievement, which is one of our emotional needs. So I hope that's helpful. Just acknowledging that this is a really tough time. Our emotional needs are being affected and we do suffer as a result of that. So it's okay to not feel tip-top during this time. But these little changes, I promise you, will make a difference. Just setting those small achievable goals and using that breathing, particularly when you feel overwhelmed, when you start to forward think too much, start to get panicky, worried about things that you can't control. That 7-11 breathing can just bring you back into the moment and help you make those really small goals in line with your needs, which over a week or two will really start to make a difference. So thank you for listening.